Welcome to episode 230. Today I'm interviewing author L.L. McKinney about her new debut novel, A Blade So Black. Get excited to hear all about this young adult urban contemporary retelling of Alice's adventures in Wonderland with a twist of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Tamara Ford, and welcome to Book Chat here on the Shelf Addiction Podcast. So glad you clicked play today. Here on Book Chat, we get bookish with roundtable book discussions, book recommendation lists, interviews, and more. Be sure to check out shelfaddiction.com for even more content. Before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about today's interview guest. L.L. McKinney is a writer, a poet, and an active member in the Kid-Lit community. She's an advocate for equality and inclusion in publishing and the creator of the hashtag #WOCWritersHere. She spent time in the slush by serving as a reader for agents and participating as a judge in various online writing contests. If you'd like to comment on something you've heard during today's episode, you can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Shelf Addiction, or call in and leave an internet voice message via SpeakPipe. The links for everything related to today's episode are below in the show notes. Welcome, Elle. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. It's Tuesday and Monday is in the past and we're moving forward.
Yes. Let's do this because we have a lot to cover. So are you ready to get started?
I am always ready to get started.
Awesome. So actually, I'd like to start off with learning a little bit about your hashtag, because I was looking at your Twitter account and your bio, and I was really drawn to your hashtag, what WOC writes here. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, what that was is I was on Twitter, and I think there's something on one of the Al Jazeera Twitter accounts as well, because there was like a little Skype interview for it as well. But there was a hashtag that got started by another author, and it was What Women Writers Hear. And it was about one author was like, someone had walked up to her and said, "I didn't know you were a woman. I'm glad I didn't. I wouldn't have picked up your books if I did." Stuff like that. And so I was like, yeah, this is a hashtag that I absolutely feel for. But on the same token, there's stuff that women of color who are writers that we hear that other writers don't hear. For instance, like I have my Black Girl book for the year, or I don't really understand this. Can you make them more Black or more Chinese or more, whatever, which usually means leaning into a stereotype that person might be more familiar with. So those are things that women of color who are authors hear on top of the things that, just women writers hear in general. And I've always been particularly passionate about, acknowledging that, yes, this is a state of oppression that I'm part of, but I also need to acknowledge my own privilege, even within being oppressed, because if we don't do that from all the way down, it's not going to, nobody's going to wind up okay.
Right. The things that you hear, are they from readers or publishers or?
These are things that I've heard from editors. These are stories that other women who are authors of color have shared from editors as well, from agents. And there are editors and agents out there who are really pushing for diversity and pushing for representation for people within the publishing industry, as well as, our readers, our audience, because it matters on both sides of the spectrum. It matters for the people who are making the books and the people who are reading them all the way across. Yeah. So there are, of course, editors and agents who are, 100% behind that. But there's still those, dark spots here and there, or folks just haven't caught on, or maybe aren't that eager to catch on, so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It definitely sounds like it's something that's going to raise awareness, of authors that write for, people of color, different races and things like that. It's really going to, I think, help everyone. I mean, a lot of people don't know. Honestly, a lot of people are ignorant to a lot of stuff. And so to kind of see some of this on Twitter, which is the place to be right now, I think
Yeah.
it's a positive thing, you know?
I really enjoy, well, I have like this love hate relationship with Twitter, because Twitter is a great place where you can have a conversation and people can listen without taking part. And it's sort of like eavesdropping without eavesdropping,
Yeah.
because it happens and people can read it in real time or go back and see the exchanges. So it's a way for you to just sort of be shooting the breeze with my sis over here, and people are aware of this thing that we're now talking about. Oh, this is an issue because now this author has joined in and now that author has joined in. But at the same
Right.
time, Twitter's not exactly the best place for nuance because, you only got
Oh,
280 characters to make this
yeah.
statement. And then you got to try and give a thesis and followed by a dissertation about this one tweet, because then people read into
Hmm.
what wasn't said. And it's like, well, we can't have a honest to goodness back and forth about this. So, I really enjoy Twitter, but it has its hangups, as most, social media platforms do. Um, Twitter is also an excellent place for people who have no business talking about something or being in a conversation to just
Oh
slide their
gosh,
way
don't
in
we
there.
know about that? Don't we know all about that?
So I love it, and it's
Yeah.
great that it's out there. That means kids can see it. They know that we're concerned about their well-being and them seeing themselves. So it just a lot of eyes are able to be on the conversation, and it doesn't. People in publishing can't say, "Well, this is a one-off," or "That's the exception to
Right.
the rule." No, we are all talking about this. We are all feeling this, and you can't get away from it because it's out there for readers to see now. It's not like hush hush secrecy, which publishing can do sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Wow. Well, that's awesome. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about what books you're currently reading. Are you reading anything right now?
I am doing a lot of audiobooks actually because I was
Yay. I love
traveling.
audio.
Um, but I read and then listened to, which is a weird thing. I don't know. I'm an odd creature. Um, Audiobooks, I'll pick up like a physical book and try it. Maybe I get into it. Maybe I finish it. Maybe I don't. I can't do that with audiobooks. Even though I know Audible's like, if you don't like it, you can turn it back in and we'll give you another one. I don't know. I'm weird with that. So I usually will get audiobooks of books that I already own. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll try a couple new ones. Like one of them is I recently started listening to Six of Crows. And that's because I was reading Six of Crows. And I said this on Twitter. There was a lady at my job, the day job. And as I'm reading it, she walks up and she goes, "Oh, I love those books. I was so upset when such and such died." And
Yeah.
I'm like, really? So,
Spoiler.
right?
Yeah.
So I couldn't finish physically reading it. So I started listening to it. It just
Yeah.
made it easier. Um, and I finished it in like 2 days. It was really good. I loved it. I mean, most people know that. I also have been I read The Bells by Danielle Clayton. Amazing book. I cannot wait for the
Mm-hmm.
second one.
I'm actually reading that right now
It's
myself.
so good. It's so good. It
Yeah.
makes me hungry. So I don't
I
appreciate
know.
Danielle. If you're listening, ma'am, I don't appreciate that. But
Yes.
it makes me
All
hungry.
the food
Uh,
references is crazy.
I'm also, I just finished before I started reading, then listening to Six of Crows, Dread Nation by Justina Ireland, which is amazing. Um, and it's, because I like The Walking Dead. I don't really like
Mm.
Dawn of the Dead or other things. I'm not huge on zombies, but The Walking Dead got me, and Justina Ireland's series got me. What else am I reading? Oh, I just also got. I have Arc of Seafire by Natalie C. Parker. Getting ready to get into that. Super excited. And there's so many books. I have. Um, let's see. I'm excited for. I haven't read it yet, but I'm excited for. It comes out next week. Is Darius the Great is Not Okay by
Okay.
Adib
Mm-hmm.
Karam. I'm excited for that. Oh man, there are so many books. There are so many
Yes,
books.
I could tell that you're like a reader, and I love that because you just have a laundry list of books like most of us readers do.
Well, like you have to read if you're gonna write. Like that's
Hmm.
exercising those muscles in your mind. It's you're picking up things that you put down later on. Like maybe you don't exactly use that particular turn of phrase, but you're like, I never thought of seeing this particular, the way water moves. I've never thought of describing it using, I don't know, taste or something like that. So many things come up with like just reading like the bells. I see the world in food now. Like I'm walking
Yes,
around and everything is a meal. And that did not happen until the bell. So it helps exercise those muscles when I'm not really using them in my own writing, but it still keeps me engaged. And to write, you got to read. You just have to.
absolutely. So, do you have a favorite author? And by that, I mean you will auto buy anything they write. You don't even have to know what it's about. You just see their name and click buy.
N.K. Jemisin,
Oh, yeah, she's good.
automatically, every time. I fell in love with her prose, with her word building. I see, okay, I didn't know that I could appreciate reading stuff in second person until I came
Mhm.
across, which also didn't really like things in first person until certain books. But second person, I didn't even know that was a thing you could do. She out here breaking rules and winning awards and being a trifecta of all three books, just won a Hugo. This woman is everything in science fiction and fantasy that I aspire to be. She's an auto buy every time.
Yes, I second that. So, do you have any authors that you think maybe have inspired your writing style a little bit?
Um, I don't know. I think there are some authors who I've read who, and I won't name names, have inspired it because I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
Hmm.
But I can't really think of anybody that I could say I aspire to write like this person. Like, I'll do things like I aspire to describe things like Danielle Clayton. I
Yes,
aspire to elicit emotions, such as fear and desire, not necessarily, hey, that person over there is cute or whatever, but desire to have something done, to have a particular outcome come about, and anger and righteous anger at that. Through Justina Ireland, I love her books. Jane was I felt Jane on so many levels in Dread Nation. Um, I aspire to write relationships platonically and with family, like Angie Thomas. That's kind
mm,
of what I do. There's not one writer where it's
yeah,
like, I want to write like them, but bits and pieces that I see in these incredible women and their craft, it's like, I want to do that and layer that into mine, somehow. So I see, like I want to write in a way where the words just sort of flow almost lyrically, literally in her latest book with like Heidi Heelig, for Muse of Fire is getting ready to come out. Literal music in that, like sheet music. It's beautiful. I've heard some of it. So it's just puzzle pieces of these great artists. I would love to lay that down on my own tapestry in my own way.
wonderful. So let's talk about A Blade So Black. Tell me, do you think you've achieved some of these things with this first book of
I
yours?
mean, I certainly hope so.
Yeah,
I
I
know
hope so too.
I know one thing that I do well is I can write a mean fight scene. Like I can kick somebody's ass on the page. I can do that. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, you're always your own worst critic. You're always like, it could be better. It could be stronger. And I've had, these amazing women, some of them have read it and have told me like,
Hmm.
hey, I really like how you did this. And I love how you do that. And I'm just over here like, oh, stop, just sort of
Yes.
toe in the ground. But I mean, I'm hope that I have people seem to have like taken a liking to it. It's gotten some good buzz, some good reviews. Angie Thomas said that it's the black girl fantasy she's been waiting for. So
And
I
that's
feel
high
like I'm
praise.
right. I feel like I'm
Yeah.
doing good. I'm pushing that, the next one will be better. And then the next one will be better. That's always the goal, is that the next book is better than the last one. But the last one is the best one that I could have written at that time. So, I'm hoping that somebody will be able to see something that maybe will inspire them a little bit.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts of it. So this is a fun mashup. It's like a YA genre. It has fantasy and it's a retelling. How did you come to the idea of using, the backgrounds of Alice in Wonderland in Atlanta?
Okay. So I have told this story a couple of times, and I'll have people who, like, they'll ask, where did you get the story idea? And folks are like, came to me in a dream. Or, this is the book of my heart. I've been working on this for years. And I was sitting on my mama's couch about maybe 5-6 years ago, watching reruns of Supernatural. And during one of those reruns, they made a reference to Buffy because they were fighting vampires at the point. It was just like this obscure Buffy reference. I laughed. And it was right around the same time that they had sort of announced that, hey, we're about to go into production for a live action Alice in Wonderland. And I was like, oh, that's going to be interesting. Huh. And so, having just read that and watching this and Buffy, I was like, well, they're going to redo Alice in Wonderland, but it's going to be like the same old-timey Alice in Wonderland. Wouldn't it be cool if, she was modern? What would she do? What would Wonderland look like? I mean, how would she get to Wonderland? Would she even know it was Wonderland? Would she think it was a dream? So I wrote the first scene, which was a fight scene, which was, why is she in Wonderland? Because I'm sitting, you fall into Wonderland. Little Alice in the original story wanders around. Me, I'm like, I ain't going nowhere. Like, what is this? What is going on? I'm either going to wait till I wake up or somebody comes to get me. I'm not about to wander through whatever this is. That's not what I'm about to do. So,
Yeah.
unless I had weapons and knew how to use them. So I wrote a fight scene and I liked it. And I just sort of kept going.
Wow. So, okay, when she's in Wonderland, is she dreaming? Because when I was reading the synopsis, by the way, guys, the book comes out next week, so it's not out yet unless you've been lucky enough to get an early copy. But is she in a dream? So is she fighting like in her dreams, or does she really know how to fight and she's really using these?
It's like a combination, but she's in the dream world. Okay, so it's like when human beings go to sleep and they dream. I mean, there's a place that you kind of go where stuff happens and you see it happen and you experience. Sometimes when you wake up, you're there, you remember it. A lot of the times you don't really. So I've sort of based it on this idea that if enough people believe in something, it kind of gives it life. Kind of like fairies. What was it? Hook, Peter Pan. I believe in fairies, and Tinkerbell is now okay and not dying or whatever.
Yeah.
So I kind of went with that, where enough people are dreaming, it has to go somewhere, or it has to have an effect on the world somehow. Like, this is a very powerful force, even if it's just like a subconscious force. So that's where the idea of Wonderland being an actual physical place came into being. So she's not asleep and she's not dreaming. She literally crosses over into like this world between worlds. So it's like a parallel world where everything and everybody is composed of dreams from all around the world from the beginning of time. So you're going to have structures in Wonderland that might look like they're from like ancient times. And then you'll have structures that look like they're from the 20s. And maybe you'll have structures that look like they're from the 80s, but over in England or Ireland, so it's the entire world goes into making this place. And that's why it's so, I figure, my interpretation of why Wonderland is so like weird and shifting and never the same. And, you have things like unbirthdays and people walking around as playing cards and, white rabbits running around talking about how they about to be late, wearing waistcoats and watches. So I just, everything that you've ever dreamed of, where your mind has just sort of put it out there, along with these billions of other people who have existed, trillions of other people who have existed over the years. It's what has composed Wonderland.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about Alice because I love a strong heroine. And being that Alice is being compared to Buffy, I want to know a little bit about her. So tell me about Alice.
Alice is, she is very strong, but she also doubts herself a lot. I mean, she's a teenage girl. She's a black teenage girl. And I mean, we just gonna be real. Society doesn't tell you the best about yourself at any age in being a black woman, but particularly when you're young, you know. So she
Mhm.
has, um, doubts in herself, doubts in her abilities, but she's still out there, kicking butt and taking names. So she's able to physically fight. Girl's bad. She's able to utilize different weapons. She knows what she's supposed to be doing and she knows how to do it, but she still has a little bit of doubt in herself. And through this story, we sort of see her go from, maybe I'm not cut out for this to, okay, we doing this. This is how we're doing it. This is why we're doing it. Like, get with the program and get out of the way. So I'm
Okay.
happy to see her grow during this story. And so she's not only strong physically, but she's strong mentally and willfully as well. It takes some getting for her to, some doing for her to get there, but that's my
Yeah.
girl.
So does this follow like the trope where, obviously she's a teenager and she's doing all this without her parents being aware of what's going on?
Okay, so yes and no, because a while ago, Justina Ireland, she started this hashtag called YA with Soul. And essentially what that is if these stories like Twilight or Harry Potter or The Hunger Games had happened to black children, and those black parents had been around, it'd have been a whole
Oh,
different
no. Yeah.
story. So
Oh, for
Alice's
sure.
mother, she's very much present. She doesn't know what's going on, but she does know that her child is coming home late, not answering her phone because technology doesn't work in Wonderland. I mean, there are no cell phone towers, so yeah. Um, Even though man has conceived the cell phone towers, they just don't spring up in Wonderland. It kind of has to be constructed, and Wonderland folk got ways to communicate. They ain't about to be bothered with iOS whatever update. They don't got time.
Right.
So Alice's mom is kind of an obstacle for Alice because, Alice has chores, Alice is breaking rules, Alice has to deal with consequences, and her mom is laying them out. And Alice is like, I wish I could tell you, but if I do, you're going to think I'm crazy. And if you, well, let me not say crazy, you're going to think that I'm sort of possibly, might be having some episodes. And
Hmm.
if you do believe me, you're not going to let me do this. So,
Right.
and I need to do this. Like, she has reasons why she needs to go to Wonderland and beat the crap out of stuff.
Yeah.
It's how she gets through with life, with what she's going through in her personal life. This helps. So, her mom is very much present and it's very much an obstacle to her getting stuff done, which is how I feel it would be, in real life situations. Like, yeah, you have to go save the world, but those dishes ain't done. And which one
Yeah.
do you think is going to cause you more problems right now? So,
Yeah. And I actually really love that because so few of young adult fantasy have parental figures around. And it kind of, as an adult reading YA, it grounds it for me when I know, wait, there is a parent somewhere and something is wrong, even though, and it doesn't pull you out of the fantastical stuff that the characters are dealing with, but it's just nice to know that people care about them in their real worlds, right?
yeah. And I mean, like, all of these kids who are out there, you don't have to have these particular things happen in your life in order for you to be this hero. You don't have to be the chosen one because some wizard offed your parents somewhere. Like, you can have a normal life, be an everyday person, and still have this crop up. Like, she's not running around because of some prophecy. She just happened to be at this place at this time, and she ran into old boy, and she decided, yeah, I think I might want to do this. So
Okay, so let's talk about old boy. Okay, so is she? We have to talk about the love interest. All teens, any teen girl, come on, you do little crazy things for the little boys.
yeah.
So is she? Is this like love at first sight, or is it kind of like a love triangle going on? What's
Okay.
going on with that?
what happens is she meets him, and no, it's not love at first sight. Because the first thing, and there's an excerpt on Entertainment Weekly, so this is known. It's out there if you want to go check it out. Um, before it comes out. But she runs into him, and the first thing she sees him do is kill one of these monsters with this sword that she has on his that he has on his back. And in her mind, she's like, "This is happening. What?" So she's busy trying to reconcile that. Yeah, he's cute and everything, but there's a dead monster over there, and you have a sword. What is going on? So then we skip forward a little bit, and they've established, this sort of um, relationship where he's showing her, this is Wonderland. This is what we do. This is now what you do. I'm going to help you do it. I'm your partner. I'm here for you. I got you back. And so as they sort of, do this together, she kind of catches a few feelings, but she's telling herself that it's not, it's not a thing. Um, and of course, one of the reasons is mom. Because what we're not going to do is bring him around with his sword and killing monsters with mom. Also, no.
Yeah.
So that's another way that mom is a deterrent. She has to, try to bring home a boy is one thing entirely, but a boy who's not even really human, that's just a whole other mess that, yeah, we're not going to do that right now. Maybe later.
That sounds so fun. that sounds fun.
Well, I mean,
I
that's
love that.
her. What actually happens, different story. You can grab them pages. Okay. You'll find out.
All right. So let's talk about kind of the ending. I love a realistic ending, I have to admit. So are we left on a cliffhanger, or do we kind of get like a little bit of closure here?
I mean, it's the first book of, there are others that are coming, and there's closure to some of the things, but the story continues. And it is, I'd say, yeah, I guess it's a cliffhanger. It didn't start out that way, but then I hit that point and I'm like, you know what? I'm stopping there because here comes, the next book. But when, you do find out more, you get deeper into the world. I've never felt one way or the other about cliffhangers. I know some people hate them with like a passion. And then some people, like, they love them. And that's just with books in general. Some people are going to love or hate or whatever. So.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not opposed to a cliffhanger, but it does hurt a little bit when you have to wait a full year or more for the next book.
Oh, I understand. I understand.
Yeah.
I still have, like, scars from when I got to the end of the 4th Harry Potter book and we didn't get another one for how long? So I understand. I get it.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's to a degree where that part of this, like, that's how the story came about. And even after editing and after it underwent however many different drafts, it didn't start out that way, but that's the way it's been for the longest. And that's what makes sense for the story overall.
Okay. How long is this series? How long are you envisioning this? A trilogy? More? What are we in for?
Oh, well, what we're in for and what I envision may be two different things because publishing is its own beast, right?
Oh,
so, it was purchased as a 2-book deal, so we are definitely getting books 1 and 2. I had envisioned about 4. How that plans out, whether we'll get, bits and pieces of it here in novellas, maybe, or I don't know. I'm going to just put it out in the universe. Lord, if you hear me, answer my prayer. I want all 4. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And not only because I started it out that way, but these covers are amazing. And I want all 4 suits of cars just to put up on my wall. I want all 4 covers. I want Spade, Heart, Diamond, and Club. I want them all. So,
yeah, I was looking at the cover. I like it. It's really sharp.
Those I want to be able to do what I had originally envisioned, and I want a cool cover set. So those are my wishes. What happens? I know we get the first 2 for certain.
So are you going to be doing an audiobook version as well?
There is an audiobook. I actually, just a little bit ago, finished up with listening to various voices who could be Alice. and, giving my feedback. And one was chosen. And I think she's going to be amazing. Everybody who I got clips for was amazing. So it's really, I appreciate my publisher giving me that opportunity to, and they sort of did the same thing with when it came to the cover. They were like, here are options that we have. And I was like, that one. And that's my Alice. She's on my cover. And they did the same thing with audio. Like, here are the voices. And I was like, that one. And so, after back and forth a little bit, it seems like they're going to go with, my first choice as well. So I'm really thrilled. And she's going to be amazing. And I can't wait to hear her.
Oh, I can't wait either. I love a good audiobook, so I might have to check it out on audio when it comes out. There's probably no ETA at this time, huh?
What I think the plan is that audio is planned to drop the same day.
Okay.
So at least that's what I'm hearing. It could change because, again, publishing is whatever. It works in mysterious ways and oftentimes frustrating ways. So that is what I understand is the plan, is that it all drops September 25th.
Excellent. Okay, is there anything else you'd like to share about A Blade So Black before we do the lightning round?
I'm really excited for this type of story for Black girls and for Black boys to read as well. Because I don't believe in that, this is a girl book, this is a boy book type situation. This is a book for people who like these types of books. That's what that is, And so I'm really excited for Black children to read a story like this. I went on a Twitter thread a little bit ago where, being Black American and, not necessarily knowing who my ancestors worshipped, who our heroes were, who our legends were, having grown up with these Western tales of Alice in Wonderland and Cinderella. Like, Cinderella was our jam when we were younger, that was the story that we knew. And now taking those stories that we grew up loving, like there was nothing wrong, that was the society you were part of, assimilation is real, and putting a spin on it, it creates a whole new folklore, I think, that's just as valid, so it's because it mirrors an experience. And that experience is one that is being lived by millions of people today. So I'm excited to see, and it's Alice, and it's Dread Nation, and it's the Bells. It's, these stories that are taking these Western worlds and these Western flares and just infusing them with Blackness and creating, adding to our culture, because we have culture. I don't care what nobody says. So I'm just eager to add to that, and I'm so blessed to be able to do this. I didn't have these books when I was a kid. I'm gonna make damn sure my nieces and nephews have them. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I must say, before we do this round, I wish you the best of luck on your release week. I know it's going to be amazing.
I'm so ready for it. We got all sorts of things happening. I'm having the Turn Up Tea Party release. That's also a hashtag on Twitter. If you can't make the release party, which is in Kansas City, don't worry. There will be online shenanigans, contests, and prizes as well. So check out that hashtag, Turn Up Tea Party.
Awesome. Okay, so are you ready for the lightning round?
I'm ready. Hit me with it.
So let me just tell you what it is real fast. So it's just 60 seconds, a bunch of questions. You just answer as many as you can, as quick as you can. Some are open-ended. Some are like, would you rather style? And the only rule is you must answer. You can't choose neither. You can't say both, and you can't skip.
Okay. All right.
All right. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay. Physical books or ebooks?
Physical.
Hero or villain?
Well, considering that villains are the heroes of their own story, I'm gonna say heroes.
All right. What's your favorite book or series from when you were a child?
I read Harry Potter. Really enjoyed that. But thinking about that, I'm gonna have to say like my favorite series is, oh God, I'm blanking on it. They're by this little boy, Artemis Fowl. There we go. This Artemis Fowl series.
All right.
There we go.
Android or Apple?
I have an iPhone, so it's Apple.
Marvel or DC?
Oh my God, why? Oh, oh. Okay, just because my favorite superhero is Spider-Man, followed very closely by Storm, and now Black Panther, I'm gonna have to give it to Marvel.
All right. Pop or soda?
Pop.
All right. Time's up. See, look, a minute goes so fast, right?
It does. It does.
Yes. Well, thanks for doing that. It was really fun.
Of course, I had fun. Except for that Marvel DC question. That one hurt.
That always gets everyone. Sometimes it's such a hard choice, but
It really
choices.
is. It has to be made. One of them got to go. There we go.
Yes. Okay, well, we're going to end things there. Be sure to follow LL McKinney on her social media and pick up a copy of her book, A Blade So Black, available for pre-order now, available next week, September 25th. And all the links for everything, including how to reach her on social media, are in the show notes. So it has been a pleasure, Elle. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me. This was a blast.
Oh, yay. All right. That's it, everyone. Thanks for spending the time with us here on the Shelf Addiction Podcast. And as always, happy reading. Take care, everyone. If you enjoyed today's book chat episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review. You can follow me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. Most importantly, you can share this podcast with friends and family that enjoy all things bookish, including author interviews. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy reading.